All right, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. First and foremost, I hope you guys all had a great holiday season. It's almost over, so um, I'm honestly grateful for that. Holiday seasons give me a bit of anxiety, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed spending time with family and stuff like that. Today is going to be a little bit of a rant. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I just wanted to really process or at least begin to process some of the content that I've been consuming about SF. There's a great new channel that deserves more followers called the SF Show. It has Samuel, I think Samuel, Maria, Hannah, and I forgot the last person's name. Sorry. There's four cool people on there. Let's put it that way, right? And they basically post about once every 2 weeks, maybe, which is pretty cool. So they've been putting out content about the SF and how it relates to other things. I would definitely encourage you guys to give it a follow. But I just wanted to kind of get my own feedback on some of what they've been talking about, right? So, first and foremost, I actually wanted to give a little bit of feedback on how they defined SF. So, SF being valuing stuff in the physical world, which is, honestly, one of OP's definitions. This is, anyway, I'm not going to channel change, but my dog's in the room. But valuing stuff in the physical world, I think is a very interesting way of defining it. I know that, especially on my quadra, Hannah was talking a lot about how her version of valuing things in the physical world is just valuing things that help her with survival and not necessarily with popularity or things like that. Whereas with the SE, I think it was the SEFI, so Maria, and then I think a little bit of Samuel, they are more tracking the popularity spectrum of what people actually value, what's popular, what's trending, things like that, right? And so I think that's kind of an interesting place to start. I might pace around, by the way, just because I kind of am like that, and also I don't want the dog in here. But anyway, so what was I saying? I think the first place I want to start is contrasting that definition of SF with what I guess NF is valuing, which is valuing things in the abstract world, right? I don't know if this is something that's been talked about, but as I was listening, especially I think to Hannah because she's on my quadra, as I was listening to her, I really began to think that, oh, my way of getting into the physical world is very different. Like I primarily operate using theories and images and abstractions. I personally over intellectualized a lot of things, right? So I need to work on that. But I'll give you an example of what it looks like to value something in the physical world or in the abstract world, and then it eventually making its way to the physical world. So one of the things that I value a lot is like superhero figures. Even as I'm 27, so even as a 27-year-old, I am valuing a bunch of stuff in the Marvel characters, DC characters, the whole nine yards, right? And I take it very seriously. Anime as well. I take it very seriously. So I'll use the example of Black Panther. So the Black Panther movie, I consider it like almost biblical in its inspiration or guidance for me in my life, right? I consider the Black Panther to be the superhero that I look up to as an adult. So if you could think about it that way. So already you can see the valuing in the abstract world because the Black Panther isn't real. It's a fictional character that someone made up, right? The movie is a bunch of actors, right? So it's not exactly that I'm valuing and here's the thing. Here's the thing too about this. I'm not valuing the exact precise details of the Black Panther, right? So it's not like I even care about the costume. I don't exactly care that it's set in a certain place. I don't exactly care about the plot. It's the it's the abstraction of what does the Black Panther represent. So the Panther represents king-like leadership, being a good king. It represents represents having a good body, right? Even being a warrior. That's kind of a very big value in the movie. And then also, and I'll get into this, which is kind of my example, is its spirituality. It represents you ingesting something that's greater or bigger than yourself. So I wrote this article a few days ago. And this is kind of something that I value a lot, right? This drinking of divine power and letting it course through your veins, right, is something that I abstractly value a lot. I deal a lot with depression. I feel emptiness a lot, and a lot, right, in my life, and I want something to fill that emptiness, right? And I think that abstract image of something coursing through your veins is something that I appreciate the Black Panther for. But it's not exactly it's not exactly physical. I mean you could argue that maybe maybe I'm valuing that actual image, but I think it's more abstract if I'm being honest with myself. And I think what ends up happening is sometimes is I'll get so caught up in I'm NF consumed. So I'm get so caught up in chasing these abstract feelings that I want to feel that I'll forget to take care of myself, right? SF sleep is often defined as taking care of oneself. So I'll forget to take care of oneself because I'm so busy in the clouds trying to chase this transcendence, right? And not bringing it to concrete reality. So that's kind of the first thing that I kind of wanted to mention is that, NF is very, like, when they say woo woo talk, they're not joking around. I value that a lot, right? And so that's kind of the first thing. Going back to them, I think the second thing that they talk about is, I need to remember her name. Let me click on the video. I think her name's Emmanuel, right? Isn't this Emmanuel? It's Manu, yeah, yes, it's Manu. So Manu gives a really great definition of SF, which is like the more SF you are, the more lack of NT you are, which is a very interesting way of phrasing it because they're mutually exclusive. If you're doing one, you're not doing the other, and so and I think the way that she described it is the way that her SF works is she appreciates the mysteries of the world and she doesn't feel responsible for solving them, right? So that's what happens when you turn off the NT and appreciate the SF is you don't feel responsible for managing the mysteries of the world. I'm NT and I very much value solving the mysteries of the world. I have a bunch of all these theory books. I can share them with you if you ever want to, NT talk. I'm very much about solving the universe, right? But in the NF realm, I think so. The NF is the opposite of ST, right? So NF is about not feeling responsible to put these abstractions into practice. It's something like that. So going back to, I'm going to use one example for myself. So going back to my Black Panther spirituality, I'm working on it because, this is something that I need to do for my own life. But with this Black Panther, this abstract imagery of like the divine coursing through your veins, it's like, how do you do that, right? How practically do you do that? And what does that even ST mean? Are you just managing your neurochemicals? Are you just messing with your physiology? Is there a divine source? And if so, like, how would you have that happen? Getting into the the details of it all is something that I struggle with. And usually I don't feel responsible for doing it. I'm like, I procrastinate on it. Another example is, I'm going to use Black Panther because that's my image really, is the king, right? This Black Panther as king. So for me, it's like, okay, well, what does being a king look like practically, right? Because I'm not like a literal royalty. I'm not an actual like heir to a throne, you can abstractly say that. I can abstract anything, right? Any can abstract anything. But in the ST reality, how do I practically make this image a reality is something that I don't, like, to this day, I don't know how to do, right? And so those are kind of, so whereas SF doesn't feel responsible for solving the mysteries of the universe, NF doesn't feel responsible for making practical the mysteries of the universe. It's something like that. We know the mysteries of the universe. We just don't want to put them into practice, right? So that's kind of the second thing. And then the third thing, and I think it's in this video, how SF are you? I think it's all of them say this, but I think it's Samuel and Maria particularly who describe SF as the primordial force of reality. Now, this was very interesting to me because I think this most connected with my Black Panther spirituality. I'm wondering if that's just feeling that they're describing personally, but they describe SF as the most primordial of all the temperaments. And I very much, kind of relate with that. That's like, how people say you're chasing your demons. I've been chasing that my whole life. I've been chasing for this primordial force my whole life. And I've been, even describing God or spirituality as this primordial force. I mean, my God is not the God that I, am chasing is very much like a feeling, like, what I'm saying? But basically, what does that look like? What does that mean in terms of the NF versus the SF? I think whereas the SF, you're tracking the primordial force in terms of actual times and events and situations. The NF, once again, it's tracking the abstract, it's patterns, right? It's things that can't be seen. So for me, it's like I will project a lot of abstractions onto people. That's something that I do a lot, where it's like I will project a movie character onto someone and kind of track them that way. Or I'll project OP, right? That's another thing that I do a lot, is I'll project the OP system onto a person and track them that way, right? And see if they're valuable that way, or if they're connected to the primordial force based on their type or whatever, right? But it's not based on anything that I can see, touch, taste. It has nothing to do with my five senses. It's very much an abstraction that I'm running in my head, right? So anyway, I think that's actually about it. I think there are important differences between the NF and the SF. I think they're both valuing very deeply, but they're just valuing in different ways, obviously. But anyway, I would say definitely subscribe to their channel. It's a really good channel. I'm probably going to listen to more of their stuff pretty soon and maybe make some commentary about it. And then, yeah, if there's anything else that I think of, I'll probably just bring it up in another OP rant or something like that. So again, I hope you guys had a great holiday season. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, wishing you a happy new year. And I will see you in the next video that I make. Take care.